Hey, I'm Natasha and welcome to Dan's Model Works. For at least a year now, I've wanted to do a project with my dad. Now, I'm not talking about working on the same model, but rather we would work on similar projects at the same time. We do have a collaboration project in mind that we are planning, and it's possible that you will have already seen a video about Dad modifying a part for a Ford pickup that I will be building as part of that project. So what I was thinking is that we could both build a Ford Thunderbird. I have two in my kit stash, and I know Dad has a few in his stash too. This is not a competition or a contest. So this is my kit stash up here. As you can see, I have a monogram 1958 T-Bird and an AMT 1962 T-Bird. I believe that the 62 by AMT is one of their later kits from the late 80s or 90s because the parts count is fairly high and well detailed. However, I think the monogram will be an easier build and I don't want to get bogged down, so I think I'll go with that one. I thought it would be a good idea to look at the parts before I start it so I would know what I'm building and stuff. So this is the body. I'll have to remove this part later, obviously. The detail on the side of the engine bay looks really nice. And here's the inside with the seats on the back. And I don't know what this is. What I thought was weird when I was looking at this earlier was it comes with seat belts. And what I know is that older cars didn't usually have seat belts in them, so it's kind of like an odd detail for monogram to put in there, especially for a 58. Lots of chrome bits. So there's the faces and some parts of the engine, the different wheels you can put in, because you can do this kit two ways, and even has the license plates in chrome. There's a hard top here. I'm thinking I'll probably do it a hard top because it keeps with more of the body, the design. The sides here and the hood. They have the back of the seats here and more parts of the engine. Everything seems really detailed, which is nice. And the whole underside of the car and the seats, and the seat backs were on the other part over here and the engine here. Oh, and here's the dashboard. They've put the tires and the white walls into a separate bag so it doesn't smudge up into anything, which is good. They've also done that to the glass here. There's the ridiculous bubble top. That's for the stylized version, the custom. I don't think that looks very good, so I'll probably do it stock, I think. And just the normal glasses here too. Here are the decals, lots of decals. As you can see, these are for the custom again. I'm not going to do that. I don't think it looks very nice. I would rather just do it stock. So here are the basically the stock decals for the inside and the license plates. It always seems like to do California. The red parts too. Just a little sprue. And then we have the instructions. Like I said, you can do it two ways, custom or stock, a convertible or, with the roof on. I like Revell's instructions. They keep it nice and basic for each step, so it turns out there's lots and lots of steps, like putting together the engine and everything. Later on, there's differences. So if you need to build it stock, then the top one, building it custom down here. And then the decals are back here. So stock, just right there, and then all the other decals for custom. I was going to do it stock, and I was thinking I would paint it cream with a red interior, like different shades of red. I was just going to mention that the interior isn't a bucket, or at least it doesn't appear to be a bucket. So separate pieces come together, you probably already noticed. But like the sides, and like, I don't know what I would prefer. Buckets are sometimes hard to get into, with your paintbrush and gluing things. But they seem to fit better, or at least for me, when you put everything together. Because if you have separate pieces, sometimes it's hard to, finalize when you put everything together.
Now, what version of the T-Bird do I want to do for this project? I already have plans to do the 1983 car, because with its then game-changing aerodynamic styling, it marked a huge break from previous versions of the car, both in performance and abilities. However, to build this version will require a major kit bash, and that doesn't fit in with the father-daughter parallel build part of this video. For this video, I would like to build either the 1977 to 79 version. I was between 8 and 10 years old when this version was new. This may have been the largest version of the T-Bird and certainly represents the extreme of 1970 styling. You could almost land a helicopter on that hood. Second choice of this video would be the 1980 to 1982 version. This was Ford's attempt to force the previous generation's huge proportions and styling onto the all-new but much smaller Fox body platform. As one auto journalist at the time said, "It looks like an odd assortment of boxes on a small set of wheels." This version got the car down to the right size, but the styling just did not work. Okay, so many of you have probably seen the Tour the Stash video, and once again we're looking at part of the stash. Up here we've got an 87 T-Bird, and we've got a drag racing T-Bird. And these are going to be used for creating a 1983 street version. I have one more of the 87 T-Bird right here, but I'm just not feeling doing that version. And as I said, I would much prefer to do the 77 or the 1980 for the reasons I expressed. I think they were significant, even if they're not the best T-Birds ever. Oddly enough, the stash has let me down. I do not have those. Apparently, Lindbergh did a version of the 77, but that was 1/32nd scale, and I don't have it. I do have AMT's 71 Thunderbird, which, if you strip away all these weird graphics that they have on there, there we go. You see it still has the enormous front end, the short rear deck, and I believe this version did have retractable headlights. So this is the version I'm going to be building. This is the kit I'm doing for my side of the T-Bird project. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's nowhere near as complicated as the kit that Natasha is building. Let's get a look at it in a minute. So let's see what we got in here in the mighty 71 T-Bird. Got the body, the tub, and we get the rest of the parts out of plastic, which is fair because we're going to be building it. So we'll start off by looking at the bucket here. And it doesn't look too bad. It's nice seat detail there, but not a whole lot in terms of sidewall detail, although if this had power windows, you wouldn't have any winders or anything like that on it, so I suppose we won't make a big deal out of that. Here's our chassis, our lower pan. Not super detailed. There's a lot of engraved detail in here, but I don't know what the suspension's going to look like. I suspect that this kit had its beginnings as a promo model for Ford. As a matter of fact, if we look at the fuel tank here, you can see there's some giant holes in here, and they're probably for the screws that held the promo model together. In this bag, we have a clear windshield and backlight, and we've got one in tinted blue. Don't think I'm going to do the tinted blue. And then we've got, this is our tail light here. Let's take a look at the sprue. And here's our tail light. The tail light fits in there, and then of course here's the backlight, and then we've got our grill with the significant beak on it. And no, this does not have the retractable headlights, but that's fine. And here's our stock wheels and some customs. Also has some side pipes. Let's take a look at the wheels, and we've got some nice stock wheels in here that have a brand name on them. Can't see through the plastic. Also comes with a couple of nice slicks here, and they're pad printed for Goodyear, something that AMT is well known for is their nice tires. And getting into the other parts. Okay, not liking this. The underside of the engine is just a big tray. And of course there's a hole going through it for the axle for the front wheels. Yeah, so this definitely has most of its promo roots intact. And we've got our rear axle and the drive shaft, and the exhaust pipes are all molded all as one big piece, with the steering wheel oddly enough captured in between them. Suppose it has to live somewhere. We've got our engine, and this is interesting. They give you the oil pan, so maybe you don't have to use this part. This part may be surplus to the kit. It might not be something that we have to use, because I'd rather not use this. And then we've got our dashboard, that uber heavy hooded look to it. And we have some exhaust headers. We've got the radiator. Looks like parts of the wheels. This is an optional part for doing it custom. And we've got the seats and the console. This looks like it's all one piece. Yep. Now there are backs to the seats for these. And one thing I should bring up that I missed is the firewall. The firewall looks quite good. It's an awful lot of detail molded on there. My assumption is this is probably the brake booster. Lots of wires and things molded on here. This should take a wash nicely. And that's it for all the small parts. Now we have the body. I haven't really taken a good hard look at the body yet. There's a little bit of flash back here. Doesn't seem to be any atrocious seam lines on the corners, which can sometimes happen. Of course, we have the top of that beak right here. And I don't know if we have a radiator part to put there. But you can see, given that the V8 would only take up about this much space, how much wasted space there was in these cars. And of course, these are removable parts. They'll have to be popped out. But overall, I think this is going to be a cool build. I haven't absolutely decided on the color yet. It's going to have to be a very pale metallic-y type color, I'm thinking. Although I could go with a metallic charcoal color like the side of the box art has. That might be interesting. Like that. That's a really dark metallic blue. Don't know. Haven't decided yet. But that's a look at the parts, and I think there's probably less than half the number of parts in this kit than there was in Natasha's kit, although a lot of her parts were bonus parts for doing the custom version, but she's already well into her build, and just the chassis alone has a lot more parts and detail to it than this. One more little thing to show is the psychedelic decals. They are something special. I don't know, I might have to figure out some project to use these on in the future. And of course, what also comes in these is we've got AMT's mini box. They're extensive instructions, which, as you've known, if you've put together an AMT kit, there's not too many steps to one of these. 7 steps. Oh, they do give us the front of the radiator. That's nice. This should be a cool build, even though it wasn't the exact one I wanted to build. I would have rather done the 77. But I think this will be fine.
It seems silly Revell would put their copyright on an outside surface, so it would show if you just painted it over. I know it's really easy to just take off or sand off, but it still seems really silly. As you can see, the engine is now completed for the Thunderbird. I'm building it stock, so I painted it Ford engine red. For the custom build, it says to paint it white, which I don't think would look very good even if it was custom. I ended up doing spark plug wires like I did on Christine. So this is my second time doing it, or attempting, and I found it a lot easier. That's probably just because I've done it before. I'm happy with the result. I've just started the underside, and I was looking at the instructions, and they suggest to paint the underside of the car semi-gloss black, which I think is too dark. And usually what Dad and I do for most of our cars, I guess it's like sort of like a habit, we just paint it neutral gray. But I wanted to try something new this time, so rather than painting it semi-gloss black or neutral gray, I decided on this color, which is Humbrol's Matte 242, which is like a very dark gray. So it's still like a gray, but it's not black. And this is what it looks like, first coat on the frame. So obviously it will need a lot more coats. So for the frame itself though, I'll do that semi-gloss black. So like this thing here and these parts. And obviously I'll try to put more detail into some of the finer areas. So I had just started work on the wheels for the Thunderbird. So these are the chrome bits. I'm just putting some panel wash in there to try to make them look more realistic. But I got to the part where I was doing the white walls. They were pure white. So I decided to try painting them with this Craft Smart acrylic paint, which I think is probably more for canvas. That's what I usually use it for. But it's vanilla, so it makes it look more... When I've seen white walls, they're more like vanilla-y color. I feel like I'm making good progress on the underside of the car. I finished the engine and that's in there. I ended up doing spark plug wires and front wheels are in. And they can roll, which is good. They seem a little bit loose, so I'll have to see about that. But yeah, I've completed the wheels too, so they're in there. The rear wheels are there too. I just haven't put them in yet. I've painted most of the parts I need for the underside of the car, semi-gloss black. I just need to put them in. I haven't yet started the interior of the car, but I have got the parts off their sprues and have kind of sanded them a bit, getting them ready to get painted. I'm not 100% sure which colors I want to paint them yet, but I'll think about it. I was thinking I'll probably keep to the outside being a cream and the interior being a range of blues. Dad's being extra slow and hasn't even started his Thunderbird yet. So considering I'm almost done the undercarriage already, I believe we're going to leave it there.
I'm still putting decals on my plane. Yeah, here's our engine halves, and you can see that arch that's been cast in there. I know somebody's going to say, that was really in there. No, it wasn't. That's just basically for the metal axle to go through. The alternative is, of course, I could use this part here and not even build the top of the engine, but I'm pretty sure Natasha has already put spark plug wires and everything in hers, so I think if I use this part and chicken out, that'd be pretty lame. The clothespins are just holding the engine halves together while the glue sets. And as you can see, I've got some yellow chunks of just sprue jammed in there, lots of glue added to them. That's just for packing. I'm going to be putting some filler around it, and I'll give it all a nice sanding to get it down to where it should be. In the same vein, I've stuck some truly gigantic plugs of sprue into the rear holes, and they don't go all the way to the top, so we should still be able to use the mounting tabs to hook into there. But they're not a perfect fit. They're probably about 10% too small. So I used, to me, a thick glue just to take up some of the space. And this is basically just to take up almost all of the space. So when I put some filler in there, I'm not having to fill the entire thing with filler. So I've got most of the engine of my 71 T-Bird done. Still obviously need to put the distributor on and the spark plug wires and of course the exhaust manifolds, but it's basically put together. But that's not what's slowing me down. Here you can also see I've got the air filter housing done, the air cleaner. The biggest slowdown for me, other than being busy, is I'm still really bothered by the front suspension or lack of front suspension.
It's almost like the kit makers didn't try.
Yeah, basically, that's the way it seems. This I'm thinking is the main cross member that the suspension parts fit onto, and these are the lower control arms. And I have tried. I've gone online and I've looked over and over again with different combinations, trying to find what the front end part should look like for a 71 T-Bird. Haven't found anything. Now we have the Ford Torino, the Starsky and Hutch car. We've got that. Now it's a few years into the future. I think it's a 75 or something like that. So here's what the equivalent part looks like from that kit. I'll just drop it in place. So what I'm thinking is obviously they're not compatible parts. They're not the same. But there's the cross member. There's lower control arms. It looks like it's basically the same suspension design. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'll scratch build as many parts as I can for this to try to bring it up to this level of standard, and it's going to be sitting like this most of the time anyway. It's just I can't go with that. That just looks terrible. There isn't even tie rods. There's no steering or anything to this. This just looks horrible.
It seems that since it's unrealistic, it's not very realistic at all. It's better to go with something that's close rather than just keep something that's really bad.
Yep. So that'll pretty much be what I'm launching into on our next episode of our parallel build. And I hope you guys are enjoying this series. And until next time,
Thanks for watching.
and keep on modeling.